What's going on YouTube? So if there's one vehicle you can count on seeing every time you hit the road, that would be the RAV4.
And for the past 7 days, we've had the chance to blend in and live with this RAV4 hybrid, which is packed with utility and efficiency.
So should you park this efficient RAV4 in your garage? Let's go ahead and find out. So like always, let's kick things off under the hood with our spec dump. So the RAV4 lineup is available with 3 different powertrains: a traditional gas, a plug-in hybrid, or this hybrid system we have today. This is a 2.5 liter 4-cylinder engine paired with a nickel hydride battery pack and an electric motor for a total system output of 219 horsepower, which is actually 16 more than the gas model.
For all hybrids, you have an eCVT as well as standard all-wheel drive, and your fuel economy is coming in at 40 miles a gallon combined.
Now, of course, later on, we're going to go out for an extensive test drive to show you what it's like out on the road, get things like our signature sound level reading, and also tell you what our real-world fuel economy has been for this week. But first, let's close up the hood, take a look at this very stylish exterior. Now, you heard me just say stylish exterior, and that is because we have the XSE trim level. This is one of the 2 hybrid exclusive trim levels that have a sportier design. As you can see, we've got a lot of gloss black accents up here in the front to update the recently redesigned grille. So this was changed last year to be a little bit more aggressive. As you can see, you do have those gloss black finishes all through here. There's a lot of different versions of the RAV4, a lot of different trim levels, so you can kind of match what type of design and character you want. Like I said, this is the sportier look, and honestly, this has got to be the best looking RAV4 I think I have ever seen, with all these nice black accents you'll see as we go through the exterior of the vehicle. Now let's come over here and take a look at our headlights. So Toyota does include standard LED headlights on all trim levels of the RAV4 hybrid. They're going to be reflector on just the base LE, projector on all the rest, and then since we have a high-end version here, every single element inside of this cluster is going to be LED. Now, one thing that's exclusive to just the XSE is this right here. This is a special LED accent. This is borrowed from the RAV4 Prime, so this kind of makes this model look like the Prime. And in place of this, on many of your other trim levels, you'll find an LED fog light. I also want to point out we have this little stripe accent that goes around here. I actually like the way this looks. This is a dealer accessory, and it's available for about $100. Now, as we move around to the rear design, I think one of the things that has made this such a popular product is that it has that kind of squared off look that makes it look like a more substantial SUV that people like.
Yeah, I really like the way this RAV4 looks. I've seen it a billion times since this generation came out, so I know I like the way it looks. Now, I'm going to have Drew hop inside so we can see if all the elements in the taillights are LED. So we have an LED brake light portion. As far as our reverse light, that's going to be incandescent, and we do also have an incandescent turn signal. So 1 out of the 3 elements are LED, but this is actually going to be the taillight unit that's standard on every single RAV4. So even the base model will have at least some partial LED components, so I do like that. Now, as far as other design elements, we do have a rear wiper up top, and then dropping down to this lower area, you're going to notice that we do have a lot of this piano black accents. I really like the way that looks, and then we do also have a little chrome piece down here to give it a nice rugged look. We also have dual exposed exhaust outlets on all of the RAV4 hybrid models, so that's going to be a really nice touch. As far as your tow rating is concerned, 1,750 pounds for the hybrid model, which is 250 pounds more than the traditional gas RAV4.
Now, last year with this model's exterior refresh, they did change up all the wheel designs. So you'll continue to find 17-inch alloys as your starting point, and as you move up the trim levels, you'll top out at 18-inch alloys of various different designs. That's going to be 1 inch smaller than what you get with an equivalent gas-powered trim level, just because they're trying to maximize efficiency here. With the XSE, as you can see, we have a nice gloss black finish, which I think looks quite nice. And there's also new for 2023, a Woodland Edition. That's going to add various different elements all throughout the exterior that are bronze accented, including the wheels. Now, with the XSE, you're going to have more of these gloss black accents all throughout the exterior design, including around the wheel arches and up here with our mirrors. Now, as far as mirror technology, we do have heating. We also have blind spot monitoring.
Now here at the side of the RAV4, we're coming in at an overall length of 180.9 inches, which is a good size for this category of vehicle. Now you're also noticing probably one of Toyota's bespoke elements that they're offering on this RAV4, a two-tone roof option. You'll never see another one like it on the road at all, but I actually, in all seriousness, do really like the two-tone roof option. It's available only on the XSE model and in a few different color options. Now, as far as your safety systems are concerned, Toyota is going to be including all of the active safety features as standard equipment on every single RAV4, which is something that a lot of the competition does skip over. But enough yapping about the outside, there are substantial tech upgrades inside the cabin, and if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We may be young, but we love cars.
And we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family. Let's learn a lot, have some fun with all the latest cars.
Now on to the interior, but first we'll of course take a look at our key fob. You do have a standard smart entry system on all but the base LE trim level. As you can see, this is the typical Toyota key fob with RAV4 branding. To get inside the vehicle, you're just going to grab behind the handle. That's going to unlock the door. And then you can head inside to the interior. Now, like Mason was foreshadowing, there are some pretty big tech improvements to talk about, but first we have to talk about interior material and color choices. So, your LE through your SE are going to come with cloth seating. Once you get to the XLE Premium and the XSE, that's going to replace that with the Softex faux leather you see here. With the XSE, we have a black finish, and you have the special blue accent stitching that runs all throughout. I think this looks quite nice. If you choose the Limited instead, you'll still get the Softex, but you have more color choices, black, gray, or nutmeg. As far as the seats themselves, all but the base model are going to be 8-way power adjusting with 2-way lumbar support, and the top Limited will also add memory seating. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now, as I jam my shin into these running boards for the 18th time this week, just want to point those out. Those are dealer accessory, by the way. It's just a styling thing, because if you're honestly over like 4'5", you're going to be able to get inside of this RAV4. Absolutely no problem whatsoever. Let's go ahead and look around at the overall material. So we'll start out over here with the door trim. This is a premium trim level, so we're going to have leather over all the center section as well as the entire upper part of this door trim with the blue color contrast stitching. I definitely like that touch. We do have 4 fully automatic windows, and I want to point out what I said earlier was the standard memory seats. You can option them onto this XSE. Now as we move to the upper part of the dashboard, this is all going to be a soft touch plastic. Center section is going to be more of this leatherette with the color contrast stitching. And as we move down to the lower panels, these will not be padded, but everything does feel pretty solid inside of this cabin. Now we'll go ahead and fire it up. So put your foot on the brake and press the button. Like always, it's time to move into a first-person perspective. Take a look at the details closely. And we're going to go ahead and start off with one of our big tech enhancements for 2023. Toyota has upgraded to a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster. This is standard on the Limited trim level, and it is also available here on the XSE via the technology package. This is a huge improvement over the previous gauge cluster. Really nice looking graphics on board. We do have the hybrid gauges, of course, over there on the left-hand side, and you can customize this with a lot of different stuff, including like different readouts when you're using the adaptive cruise control system. Otherwise, your other trim levels will come with a 7-inch display right there in the middle, which was previously the up version of the gauge cluster. Now, as we pull back, we do have a leather-wrapped steering wheel that, of course, is going to be on all but the base model. We also have rain-sensing wipers as well as steering wheel heating. That's going to be offered via the weather package, and that's an available option on pretty much all of the trim levels. The wheel itself is manual, tilt, and telescoping. Now let's go ahead and dive into interior storage. One of the things the RAV4 has always been very good about is giving you plenty of utility for all your stuff. Inside our center console, nice and deep here, we do have a felt lining at the bottom of that, and we have 2 USB-C ports. But we got to put it to the test. We got to stick our big stack of coupons here. Looks like we have some Subway sandwiches, and those are gonna fit in there, no problem whatsoever.
I couldn't find any results for testicles sticker.
What in the testicle sticker? Okay, when you mention the word Toyota, the infotainment screen might respond to you and come up with things that you did not say. Anyways, okay, let's go back over here and focus on our cup holders. These are nice and deep, so you can stick big bottles, things like that inside. You have another storage area up here in the front with a available wireless phone charging pad. This again is part of the tech package on this model. Now, coming back to the shifter, this is a traditional style shifter, nice feel to it. Pull back for drive. You can shift through some simulated gear changes manually if you prefer. There are no power shifters on the steering wheel. When we head into reverse, you're going to see another nice tech enhancement for 2023, and that's with the backup cameras. So previously, these were pretty crusty looking, to say the least. Now this year, we have a giant resolution upgrade, especially when you choose the optional bird's eye 360 camera here on the XSE. As you can see, we've got that nice overhead view. This is actually now the same exact backup camera from the Lexus NX. So just like with that model, as you back up, you'll see that the vehicle kind of becomes transparent and it overlays in the road that it just saw. Definitely a cool touch, and you can also spin around the vehicle as well. And when you go into a park, your electronic parking brake will automatically engage. You also have your brake hold next to that. All your drive modes are right here, including your trail mode, and you also have a button to lock it into EV only. And let's move on up here to our climate controls. RAV4 has nice large physical dials to control the standard dual zone automatic climate control setup here with the hybrid. If you choose the gas model, some of them do come with a manual climate control setup, but all the hybrids will come with the dual zone automatic setup. When no one's in the passenger seat, it will also turn off the passenger side climate for energy savings. And then down below, we do have the standard 3-stage heated seats on XSE and limited trim levels. But if you want seat ventilation, you will have to option that on to the limited trim level only. And now let's go ahead and talk about the audio system. So there's two different choices. You have a 6-speaker sound system or an available 800-watt 11-speaker JBL premium sound system. That's what we have optioned on today's XSE, and we'll give it a sample right now. So we found over the last week of testing, this audio system is certainly a lot more bass heavy and focused on the bass than it is, like different types of details and having more of a rich sound. So just keep that in mind when you're choosing whether you want to upgrade or not. All right, so now we are here at our third major interior technology upgrade for 2023, and that's going to be a brand new display system. So what we have is a 8-inch display replacing the 7-inch display, a 10.5-inch display replacing the previous 9-inch display. But more than it just being larger here on the XSE and the limited trim levels, it is also substantially higher resolution, really nice looking graphics on board when we're running our newly standard wireless Android Auto and wireless Apple CarPlay systems. So as you can see, this looks very, very crisp on board, especially here in the satellite view. Now let me go ahead and toggle back into the Toyota infotainment system itself, because this is the new Toyota multimedia infotainment system. Previously you had the Intune 3.0. This again is a major enhancement, not just because you have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay, but all the other functionalities are going to work so much smoother. It's definitely an easier flow as well, and it makes a lot more sense. This is our built-in navigation system as well, which does include things like live traffic, and it's pretty up-to-date. It updates over the air, as a matter of fact. Now, as we move on up here, we do have an auto-dimming mirror with HomeLink universal remotes. We also have the optional rear camera mirror system, so if you flip that switch, you're going to have that live view of what is behind you. And then up here at the top, let's go ahead and open this up and talk about our moonroof situation. So a regular moonroof is going to be standard actually on the XLE Premium and above. But if you want the panoramic moonroof, you will have to choose either the XSE or the limited trim level and have that as a $500 option.
Now come on back here and join me in the RAV4's rear seat. Now this of course is a family vehicle. It's now America's favorite family car. So let's go ahead and see what Toyota's offering back here. Now as far as space is concerned, 37.8 inches of legroom, 39.5 inches of headroom. So we have a good amount of space in this RAV4. It is going to be less than the all-new Honda CR-V, a little less than Nissan Rogue as well, but as far as space between my knees and the seat back with it adjusted to Drew, who's 5'8", I'm still looking at a solid 8 inches of space, which is a good amount. Also, my feet can slide all the way in, and we like when it can slide all the way in. Now, as far as here in the center, we do have vents on all but the very base LE trim level, which I'm happy to see. We also have USB ports. These are the USB-C variety. If we fold down the center armrest, we have 2 cup holders inside of here. Heated rear seats are available on the RAV4. It's an option on the limited trim only though, so keep that in mind. Now turning to the door, I do want to point out that the door itself doesn't really open at a very good angle. It's only about 55-60 degrees opening when some of the competition does open at pretty much a full 90 degrees, so loading in a child seat might be a little bit more difficult in this RAV4. But as far as the materials are concerned, we do have a nice soft touch material on the upper part with the stitching detail. All through the center area is nice leather red as well. And then we do have a bottle storage in the very bottom. Now walking up to the RAV4's tailgate, we do have a Power One on XLE Premium and above. We also have optional foot activation. We have that on this particular model, so just kick your foot under the bumper and the tailgate will go ahead and open up. We've had pretty good luck with that so far this week. Now, as far as the space is concerned in this RAV4 hybrid, 37.6 cubic feet of space behind the second row seats. If I reach up here and start to fold them down, that will reveal a maximum figure of 69 cubic feet of cargo capacity in this RAV4, which is a very good figure for the segment. It's going to be a little bit smaller than CR-V, so a little bit smaller than that largest offering, but it's going to be bigger than most in the segment, that's for sure. One thing I want to point out though is that there are not any handles back here in the cargo area, so you do have to reach up and fold the seats. As you can see, I'm not very big and I could reach up there and fold them just fine, so it's not going to be an issue for most of you guys. Now, I did also bring my tape measure here to measure from the back of the seat back all the way to the rear of the cargo area. Get that figure for you. And we are looking at a solid 73 inches of space. So if you're curious as to what could fit in 73 inches of space, an adult bike is 69 inches long. I like that measurement there, and that is going to fit in here no problem whatsoever. As far as the width is concerned, we are looking at about 52 inches wide, which is a very usable cargo area. Now, as far as other things, if we lift up the floor, we do have a spare tire even on this hybrid model, and I guess it is worth mentioning that the hybrid actually has the exact same cargo capacity as the regular gas RAV4, so you're not sacrificing any space for choosing the hybrid model. Well guys, here we are behind the wheel of the 2023 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid. Of course, we've been extensively testing this vehicle out for 7 days. In this test drive, we're going to be talking about a lot of different things, as you can see on the screen right now, but let's go ahead and start with a hard acceleration.
All right, so there we go, off to the races with the RAV4 Hybrid. Now, like we mentioned at the spec dump, actually the RAV4 Hybrid is more powerful than the traditional gas powertrain option. And in addition to just being more powerful, which this has 219 horsepower to remind you, it does also have that low-end electric torque. So when you get off the line, it has that nice sensation of acceleration from that electric motor generating power. And I think that really makes it, to me, feel quite a bit faster than the traditional RAV4. We've tested out, you know, all the different powertrain options, but we've spent probably the most time with the traditional 2.5 liter 4-cylinder, and this seems like the better option overall in terms of power delivery, and of course we're going to talk about efficiency in a little bit.
Yeah, and I think that's honestly the reason why the XSE is hybrid only, is because if you want the most power and the better driving experience from an SE model, SE and XSE are actually hybrid exclusive, you're going to want this hybrid powertrain because it does have that additional power.
Let's get an acceleration from a stop.
Not bad whatsoever. I mean, this is one of the faster options in the segment. Of course, it's not like a CX-5 turbo or anything, not quite to that level.
Now, when it comes to getting power to the ground, you do have standard all-wheel drive with the Toyota hybrid system here on the RAV4. That's because you have the electric motor on the back that can kick in and give you that extra traction when needed. And power is going to be routed through an eCVT.
Alrighty, and now we've finally turned on our designated highway stretch. And this is where I really want to spend a little bit of time talking about how good this RAV4 rides. Now, over the last 7 days, we have driven this vehicle quite a lot. I had a wedding to go to, so I drove it about 2 hours away and then road tripped back. So we've been in this vehicle for many hours at this point this week, and I have to say I'm very impressed with the ride quality of this RAV4. It really just does a phenomenal job of soaking up the bumps. I was on a very rough patch of road during my drive, and it did a great job. Also, I will say the seat is very soft and supportive. You'll notice that over several hours of riding in this vehicle, so I'm very happy with the ride quality, and that's something that really is very important for the RAV4, because this is now the American family choice. Instead of the Camry, they're actually picking the RAV4 now for their family vehicle, and this is going to be a perfect car for you to take on a road trip, that's for sure. Hold on. All right, now that we're getting up to 55, let's do our signature sound level test, see how quiet this cabin is. We have settled in at 56.7 decibels as our official Car Confections sound level reading at 55 miles an hour on our designated strip of road.
Let me just say that I do believe, because if you watch the outside, you know that we do have the optional crossbars on, and I do think that makes a little bit of wind noise. So yeah, if you don't need those, don't get them, because it's going to quiet down the cabin. And especially when you have the sunroof actually open, it really adds a lot of noise.
And as far as how that compares in the segment, that's going to place it right around the middle of the pack for all compact SUVs. We sampled out a lot of them, as you can see on the screen. It is quieter than the 2022 RAV4 Hybrid that we tested out before. I believe that was a little bit on a windier day, so it's going to be a little bit quieter than that.
Now we're on a country road, and you might think that's not the natural habitat of the RAV4, and you'd be right, but this actually does hold its own pretty well. This TNGA platform has always been pretty nice in terms of dynamics. You have good body control, so when you go around corners, you don't have a lot of roll, wallowing, things like that. Also, I think Toyota's done a nice job with the steering. This is a happy medium between, being so dull and so vague, but also still being lightweight, for that everyday maneuverability that people want. It does respond nice and fast when you make a adjustment.
Yeah, but the thing you're probably most curious about is the fuel economy of this RAV4, so let's not delay this conversation any longer. The RAV4 Hybrid is rated at 41, 38, 40 miles a gallon combined. It does come standard with all-wheel drive, as we mentioned earlier, so that's your rating for all RAV4 hybrids, besides for the Woodland. That's 37 mpg, so a little bit of a penalty for choosing that trim level, but that is really, really excellent fuel economy, guys. That's better than the new CR-V, better than the Ford Escape, better than the Tucson and Kia Sportage hybrid. This is the best in the segment. It is so good when it comes to fuel economy, guys, and you're also probably curious as to what our real world test has shown in this week. Like we mentioned, we drove this a lot. So we basically burned out the entire tank of gas. Let's see what our average is.
40.5 is what we've been averaging. So you heard him just say the EPA rating, 40 miles per gallon. That means we are right on that EPA rating.
A little bit higher, yeah.
And we're driving the way we like to drive. So I would like to think we represent the average person. You know, people don't want to hyper-mile their hybrid, even if they have a hybrid model. And this is, I think, just one of the most important things about the RAV4. And I'm actually going to declare this as today's slam dunk, because this hybrid system does actually get the fuel economy it's rated at. It's not just a great EPA rating, it's a great rating that you can expect to see in real life. And we've had the Tucson hybrid, we've had the Sportage hybrid, and we're going to have the CR-V hybrid hopefully very soon to also do the same real world test. And with those Hyundai Kia products, we have struggled to get the EPA rating. So we're consistently, and we're seeing that from owners as well that are commenting, consistently below that EPA rating, whereas this is actually achieving that. So that actually widens the gap between the fuel economy measurements.
Yeah. And I also want to point out, in many cases, we actually were getting better fuel economy than the EPA rating. I did an 85-mile drive. Granted, it was mostly on highway, but I averaged 46.5 mpg. And like Drew said, I wasn't, barely pressing the throttle or anything. I was driving as I normally would. So very impressive fuel economy with this RAV4 hybrid. And what's our air ball for the RAV4 after spending 7 days with it? Well, I have to say it's just got to be the price. Now, we haven't talked about this just yet. We're going into the price section in literally like 60 seconds, so don't fret. But this is a very pricey option. I believe it's got to be one of the priciest options in the entire segment, especially when you start checking off the option packages. It starts out at a pretty reasonable price, but when you add those packages in, you're going to land at a pretty eye-watering price point if you add all of them in. And lastly here, I want to mention your Toyota warranty. It is going to be their signature thing. 3-year, 36,000 miles for your basic, 5-year, 60,000 miles for your powertrain. You're also going to get 2 years of complimentary maintenance, which is nice. And you made it through this video, so how much is the RAV4 going to cost? Well, we're going to see a price increase for 2023, as you would expect. And now that means we're starting at a base price of $31,225 for an LE hybrid. Do keep in mind you get the standard all-wheel drive for the hybrid model. There are a lot of different trim levels. This XSE starts at $36,885, and the top end limited is $39,530 as a starting point. Now, I say as a starting point because there are a lot of options that you can add on to this RAV4. This one has pretty much everything you can get on an XSE. So all told, with the 1335 destination, this model is coming in at $43,154, which certainly does make this one of the most expensive offerings in the entire segment, especially if you get a limited with all the options. But do keep in mind, you are getting a lot with this RAV4. And guys, that's going to wrap up our in-depth review of the 2023 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid XSE. If you enjoyed this video or found it helpful, please hit that subscribe button down below if you haven't already. If you're already a subscriber, thank you so much for your continued support, because you make this all possible. Toyota sent this vehicle down for us to test out for a full 7 days, and that's because of you guys, so thank you so much. Please also follow us on TikTok and Instagram, where we have other forms of media. We additionally have a new website, so please go ahead and check that out as well. That has all of our sound level readings published on it. Anyway, we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.